The dog got me up, and I felt well. When I got on my feet, I felt pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we did it again for another day. So that's one of the finer things in life is to be able to get up in the morning.
That's good. That's good.
And especially at my age.
Dennis, how are you?
Beautiful.
You're beautiful. That's good. What a beautiful day outside, huh? Did you get a chance to get outside over the weekend?
Yes, it did.
Excellent. Excellent. The temperature was phenomenal. We had a little bit of problem with the sound starting up, but we're good now. I got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about before we get to Cheryl. And Cheryl, we're going to spend about an hour with you, but we want to hear what you've been doing the last week, as well as these guys and myself. And I'm going to get it started because there is so much going on. First of all, I am really excited about something going on at the Great Western Trail, and that is we have applied, we meaning the Kenilworth Neighborhood Watch Group, had applied to DuPage County to adopt the Great Western Trail all the way from Villa to the end, where it's about Addison Street or Addison Road on the Great Western Trail, 1 mile, and it is an adopted highway because those are highways to the DuPage County Transportation Department. And we are going to maintain it by cleaning it, making sure that it's safe for travelers, bikes, walking your dog, running, whatever it might be, and also looking to improve it so it becomes a better path like the Illinois Prairie Path is for people coming through. And I got to tell you, over the weekend there was a lot of people on the path. I walked it for about 7 miles. There was people going by me all the time on bikes, running, walking their dog, everything. Great environment there. But before that, there was a new restaurant that opened up, Victoria's Restaurant, on North Avenue, just a little bit east of Addison Street, on the south side of the street, was a business called Las something else. I can't remember the name of the Spanish restaurant.
Or something or other.
Yeah, and the gentleman that owned that at the time went over to the Princeton address on North Avenue and started that up as a Mexican-American restaurant, and now he's reopened this previous place he's at as a new restaurant called Victoria's, and that happens to be his daughter's name. I think she's about a 4 or 5-year-old little girl. Beautiful dress she was in during a ribbon cutting ceremony. Great place. Check it out. Victoria's on North Avenue here in Villa Park. And it's Mexican-American cuisine. They've got a bar. They've got sit-down area and great food, as well as gaming terminals, as they all do here in Villa Park. And then the other thing that came up was we started a brand new program called Cruising in Style. It's a TV show that's going to be on Channel 19. We're on Channel 6 on Comcast. This show is going to be on Channel 19, and it's all about car shows and auto shows. And of course, yesterday I went out to the Chicago Auto Show, the largest auto show and the longest running auto show in the country. Over 1,000 cars is what they promote, and had a great time. A lot of futuristic cars, concept cars, muscle cars, and cars that you can only dream of owning. We're at that show, and they're going to be on the show that we produce. It'll be on starting March 3rd, 10 p.m., Channel 19, and also Channel 99 on AT&T Uverse. Tomorrow night we got a Fire Corps meeting. If you're a member of Fire Corps, come to the Village Hall Wednesday, not tomorrow night, Wednesday, February 22nd at 7 p.m., and that'll be a regular meeting for the Fire Corps. What else? What did I miss? I went to Sugar Creek. There it is, golf course scorecard. Sugar Creek is already in great shape with this great weather, and they had a ton of people out there. Cheryl, I think you said you were...
I'm on the board for Sugar Creek.
You're on the board for Sugar Creek Golf Course.
Yes.
Explain to folks, Sugar Creek Golf Course is co-owned by Villa Park and Elmhurst, right?
Right. It's co-owned by the Village of Villa Park and the Park District of Elmhurst.
Okay.
Work on the board together.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a joint effort to do the behind-the-scenes things for the golf course, to keep it running and keep it working in top shape, and make decisions if equipment needs to be changed and to keep it running and budgeting. Villa Park usually handles the maintenance type part of it, and Elmhurst handles the administration side of the golf course.
Okay. And Dave Anderson is the course manager out there with a couple of other people. They have a person dealing with the trees as well as all of the groundskeepers type thing, as well as some pros that can give you golf lessons. And the one thing that people forget is there's an awesome driving range there, isn't there?
There's a beautiful driving range, and there's a lovely clubhouse.
Yeah.
Most
yeah.
people forget that they can have events at that clubhouse.
Yeah.
I mean,
Doesn't it go like 100 people or something?
Somewhere about 100, 125 people can get in there. There's a clubhouse with a bar inside, and you can rent out the clubhouse and have food catered in.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm having an event there on March 10th in that clubhouse.
All right, let me grab that. You gave me a flyer. There it is. And Cheryl, could you just turn your mic so it's facing up? It's facing into your little...
Facing up.
Yeah, there you go.
Does that work better?
That works much
Okay.
better. Okay,
Okay.
there it is.
I'm, in fact, having an event at the clubhouse on March 10th from 6 to 9.
Yeah.
I'm inviting all the people from Villa Park to come join me. It's a celebration of life for 60 years for my birthday and to meet the candidate.
Well, happy
So
birthday, first of all.
I would love everybody from Villa Park to come out and celebrate with me and come meet me, because that's the idea of, I would love to meet all the people of Villa Park. There are so many people in Villa Park I've already gotten to know, and I would love to meet other people in Villa Park, and so I'm opening it up for you to come join me and celebrate and give me a chance to meet you before the
Excellent.
election.
Excellent. Well, let's start out
Al?
with you giving
Al?
an introduction. Wait, Sid. You giving an introduction of who you are, your time here in Villa Park, what you do for a living, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, I was born and raised in this town, so when you see on the campaign thing, you'll see it as Cheryl Orlo Tucker.
Orlo.
Orlo is my maiden name.
Okay.
I went through school, all through schools here in Villa Park. So I went through Ardmore, Jackson, and Willowbrook. I hate to say, in the 70s I went through Willowbrook, but
Yeah.
The youngest one here.
it's been a while. Basically, I'm also on I'm on the Park and Rec Commission Board. As I stated, I'm on the Sugar Creek Golf Course
Okay.
Commission Board. You'll see me in and out of town because I also helped set up the Sunday night car show or club event that we started last year, and I'm really proud of that it's starting to thrive in Villa Park, and we're looking forward to a new season in 2017.
Right.
You stated that we're going to have some other organizations coming out. I'm looking forward to some bands, hopefully, and
Yes.
food vendors to come join us this year. That's what we're striving to do now. You'll see me at the board meetings right now, seeing I'm not on the board yet.
Yeah.
Quite often you'll see me on the camera questioning all the village board members right now, trustees, to speak for the people of Villa Park. I think it's very important that we have a voice here, and I encourage anyone in the village to come if they have an issue to those board meetings on Monday night. They're every other Monday, I believe.
Right.
Basically, that's my structure here. I mean, I went to Willowbrook, left for a short time, went away to college. I went to Eastern Illinois University,
Okay.
raised a
That's
family.
Southern Illinois area, right?
No, Charleston, Illinois. Eastern Illinois is in Charleston, Illinois.
But that's way, way south
Wait,
there.
well, it's an hour south of the University of Illinois. So
That's
it's on,
Southern Illinois.
It's on,
Anything south of I-80 to us in Chicago is Southern Illinois.
okay, so I guess it's Southern Illinois then. It's Central Illinois to me.
Yeah.
But I went away for a while, raised my family, and then I returned to Villa Park later on.
Okay.
So I was away for a little while. But I'm glad to be back in my hometown again. It's exciting to be back home, where basically my parents have been for over 60 years.
Wow.
They have a house here in Villa Park, and so my whole family was born and raised here.
Excellent, excellent. Sid, you wanted to ask something before.
Well, Cheryl already answered it. I wanted to say she's a lifelong member of a resident of Villa Park for practical
Yeah.
purposes.
Yeah.
Born and raised is what I wanted to say, which it's both important and that, especially when you grasp what problems come up in the village. And we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Now, Cheryl, one thing I want to ask you, what was your career? What's your life history in the business world?
I have basically a degree in therapeutic recreation.
Okay. What does that mean?
Basically I worked in the division through park districts, village rec departments, nursing homes, working with the elderly, mostly Alzheimer's patients.
Ah, okay.
And actually I worked through Nestra. I did
Okay.
my internship with Nestra here.
Explain what Nesra is.
Nesra is a special recreation association for disabled children through adults.
Yes.
And we are part, as Villa Park, we are part membership there. I think Greg Gola is on the board of Nesra.
Right.
Their offices is out of Addison, right here in the area. They're a foundation that offers activities and simulates the handicapped or disabled people in the area.
Okay.
Is what their job is.
Get 'em into the
they get them in the mainstream.
Right.
They help them get in the mainstream. They offer activities for them. They make sure that area districts or schools have areas for accessibility for handicapped people. So
Nice,
they're
nice.
behind to make sure that every building is accessible for disabled people. One way or another, they help us get that up to standards, or they help the villages make sure that they are accessible to provide, the programs for them.
Yeah, yeah, okay, okay. Well, at this point in time, you are now running on the next April ballot for a village trustee seat. Tell us why you're running for village trustee.
Okay, basically I'm running for village trustee because there's a lot of things going on in the village that I feel I can better help and be a voice of the people of this village by being on the other side of the table. I go to all the village board meetings on that side. I stay to the podium. You hear me tell them, my name is Cheryl Tucker, and I state what I feel the people of Villa Park want to say and get done, and make sure that the board knows that we're talking, for the people of Villa Park. But I'm feeling that on that side of the table, I'm not getting the opportunity to vote for the people. So I decided that I needed to put my hat in the ring and basically speak for the people of Villa Park by being a voting member on the board.
Okay.
Because as you know, if you stand on this side of the podium, you can give the board what your opinion is and tell them what you'd like to happen, but you have no vote to decide what's going to happen. So I decided to run for it so that I could have that vote for the people, that there's important issues going on here, and I feel I need to be part of that.
Well, let me ask you then, what are those issues that you think are most important for this village to address that you want to bring when you become a trustee?
Well, the main issue that you're going through right now is the referendum going up for the sales tax.
Okay.
They're putting that on the ballot as of April 4th too.
A half
A cent
sales tax
of
increase.
sales tax to try to use towards the sewers. Most of the people of Villa Park already see the increase on the water bill. That's basically trying to help the sewer systems too. We have a beautiful road referendum that all of us in the village passed to get our roads fixed, but the problem is that road referendum does not cover the sewers or the infrastructure underneath the roads. And as a member of the board, I think it's very important that we figure out a way to get that money to take care of those sewers and the plumbing under the road without digging any farther in Villa Park's citizens' pockets.
Yeah.
So as a board member, I think there must be some type of alternative ways to do it, and to figure out ways to do that without constantly coming back to the people to pay more money to have those done. I mean, obviously the sewers and stuff, as Rich Keener had mentioned, have been that way for over 50-some years.
Right.
A lot of this could have been done sooner than that, and now all of a sudden we need it done to fix the roads. And I feel that's one of the issues that needs to be attacked strongly.
Okay. All right. What about the skill set that you would bring to the trustee group to help tackle these problems? What do you think are your skills that would make you a good trustee?
Basically, I'm just an average Villa Park resident. I mean, I'm like anybody else in this town. I've, worked hard for my money, and having to constantly dig into my pocket bothers me a lot. I'm also, as I said, I was on the Park and Rec Commission board, and we're trying to, revitalize Villa Park by getting the parks up and running, possibly recreation center in the village. We need, some new parks and work in some of our parks and our recreational centers that have, basically Iowa Center, needs some renovation or work, and it's running out of space. Yeah. I mean, basically, we all know our swimming pools are at a level of, either being closed or needing big repairs done. They've had that for a long time. As a member on the board, if I'm elected as trustee, those are big issues that I think need to be taken care of, and it's time to get them off the back burner and bring them onto the front thing, and really figure out a way to do that. I mean, we've got road issues, we've got new businesses coming in, which is great. Yeah, that's a big thing. We need to revitalize the areas in Villa Park, which I'm real happy that the board is tackling right now, because for a long time we didn't have that tax base. A lot of the businesses have left here and gone everywhere else, and now...
Well, you pointed out something that we haven't heard yet, which is the environment of the village when new businesses come in. It upgrades the village, not just the tax base, but how it makes the village better.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we're basically a small village, which I love the fact that we're the small atmosphere of the village between two big town atmospheres of Elmhurst and Lombard. I love the idea that we're the little town in between them, and that but it's kind of important that we as a little town start showing people that, hey, we're mighty. Villa Park's a mighty town. We've got businesses here. Come to our town and see what we've got, because we do have some really nice, establishments here in this town, and I really think it's important that we bring that out to them, that they're here. And I'm real happy that North Avenue's getting built up, that we've got that going. We've got Roosevelt Road that is thriving. I realize we're working on Park Avenue area, Park Avenue Central area right there. There used to be thriving businesses there, and most of them are gone. Well, Ardmore Avenue. Ardmore Avenue, Park and Central over there, right by the Prairie Path, used to have all kinds of thriving businesses there, and it's kind of, now it's starting to get built up. We've got the Art Center that has moved in there to bring things up and people to see that. For the longest time, Strojan's was the only thing that was pulling people over that area, which is sad.
Jeff is a real anchor there.
Right, he's an anchor place there. But I'd like to see that building build up in the town again, and that part being thriving, along with Villa Avenue, Roosevelt Road, and North Avenue.
There's one business that's just built for me, and it's open and available, but I just won't do it. It's called Al's Smoke Shop. I don't smoke anymore, so I'm not going to open that place. But that's a vacant property.
That's a vacant property, and I was very sad that actually got closed. Yeah, because that was a very center of this village for a very long time. Was Al's Smoke Shop.
You remember when it opened, Sid?
I can tell you this: Al's Smoke Shop was, oh golly, I'm having a mental thing because it was somebody else before that. Yeah. But I just want to mention that on Ardmore Avenue is the oldest business in Villa Park, and that's the barber shop. And that barber shop started in 1923, Bill's Barber Shop, and it's just been two owners ever since.
That's right. It's right there on the same side as funeral home, right there. Is that on that corner that people don't realize?
Ardmore Liquors.
Liquors, right on that corner. Yeah. You're right. A lot of people do overlook that barbershop right there. He has been there for a very long time.
Bill started that back in 1923, and Actually, Al, I was not born there yet.
Yeah, okay. We found a year that you weren't here. Okay.
And Dick bought it from him when Bill retired. And Dick's been there ever since, and I'm a patron of his. And I've asked him when he's going to retire, and he held his hand out straight and said, as long as the hand's straight, I'm going to be working.
Yeah. Well,
That's good.
you're kind of
The other
alluding
thing
to a
is
downtown area, right?
Right. The other thing is the garden district on the north side by the railroad tracks.
Okay.
That's something that's up on the board's radar right now, developing and getting things going over there.
Some changes are
Same
afoot.
changes are happening.
Yeah.
And I'd like to be part of that, to get that up and thriving again over on that
Tell
north
the
side
audience
by the
who
railroad.
doesn't know what that's all about. Garden Station was the name of it, but
Garden
it's the area.
Station was the area. Originally, they were trying to put not being on the board, I don't know where it's at. They were trying to put, it was going to be a condo complex. Then it went to rental units. I know that they're working on something to get that thriving over there again. In their area, but being I'm not on the board, I don't know where they're at it, but that is something that is very important, to get that area up and thriving. They've done a lot of work on the station there, on our Villa Park station.
Right, looks good. I was
Metro
there
Station
yesterday.
looks really good now.
Yeah. The platform and the
The
seats.
platform and the seats and stuff, and
Yeah.
I think it's really important for our village, for people that fly through on the train, that they really see that it's kept up and our area is kept up, and they're seeing our businesses there thriving, because it's an eyesore when it's not good.
Right, right.
And people only remember the village by the eyesores. They don't always say, oh yeah, I saw this great thing. So
That's if they look up, because I was on the train yesterday and I looked around and this is what I saw.
Oh, a lot of people reading. Yeah.
Well, every once in a while they look up to see where are we? Okay,
Okay.
and they're back to their phone or their iPad or whatever. But go ahead, I interrupted you.
But, there's a lot of places. I mean, Villa Park has a lot of different business areas, or a lot of different areas. It's not one main goal like, Lombard has Yorktown, center and place, and they have their Main Street stores. But we have a lot of different outlets in this town where businesses are, and people forget that sometimes, that we're a town with a lot of different areas.
Yeah, yeah.
How'd you get those towns here, those businesses?
I'm sorry?
How'd you get the business?
How would you get the businesses
How
here?
would I get the businesses here?
Yeah.
Basically by promoting our structure, our inner structure here, the friendliness of our village, as a board, how much we'll cooperate with them. I mean, and we've got a economic development department right there on North Avenue that had to expand because we need more space for them to do their stuff. We have all the backing to it. I think we just need to go forward, keep going forward, and extending, the open-handed friendliness of this village to get them to come here. I mean, they have a big choice. I mean, basically, we're in competition with a lot of other businesses, and the biggest thing is to say, bring out the friendliness of this town. Hey, we have a lot to offer.
Absolutely,
We
absolutely. I totally agree. I want to step back for a minute because you're one of the people we've had a chance to interview, and as the audience knows, we've interviewed all of the presidential candidates. We've interviewed the two incumbent trustees, Mr. Wagner and Mr. Cazone, that are on the ballot. And you're the first one we've interviewed that is a new person to the board. Tell me about the experience of getting on the ballot and what you had to go through for people who are considering sometime in the future becoming a candidate, what it's like for the first time.
It's a frightening experience, believe me, because they really don't give you a lot of help, insight. You kind of have to talk to people that have been there before, and I was fortunate enough that I could talk to a lot of the people that were all on the board, like Nick Cazone and Bob Taglia, Debbie Bowinkle and get some insight what I needed to do
Yeah.
to go get signatures and how to walk around the village and talk to people, and because basically I'm not a politician, so
Yeah.
this is throwing my head into an arena that is totally new to me.
Yeah.
But once you get going on it, it's not really that difficult. I mean, you start talking to your neighbors and people in the village, and everybody's really friendly. And you start telling them, hey, you're going to do it, and basically they say, oh yeah, I'll sign that for you,
Yeah.
no problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So getting the signatures is basically not difficult. And
Do you
then
remember how many you had to get? I mean,
it's 101, I think.
Yeah.
It's 101 signatures.
Okay.
I, of course, got more than that, but
Yeah.
I think it's 101 signatures you need to get on the ballot.
Okay.
And then all you do is file over in DuPage County, which they make it real easy. You walk in there, you hand them all the paperwork that Hosanna here gives you. I mean, she's real good at it. She's got the packages
Hosanna
all
is our village clerk.
village clerk.
Okay.
Our village clerk has the packets all put together for you. You follow the steps that she has in the packet. It's real easy. You hand the paperwork over to DuPage County clerk. I believe it's the clerk over there. They file your name on it, and you're on the ballot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's as easy as that. And then basically after that, you start doing your campaigning.
Right.
Or so-called was a campaigning. You start talking to people in Villa Park and letting them know, hey, I'm running for trustee. You know, this is what I'm doing. I wanted to let you know that, you know, I'm taking my step from behind the podium to trying to get on the other side on the board itself type thing. It's fairly simple like that. Most of the people you talk to here say, oh, okay. And when's the election?
Yeah.
Most of them don't realize that we have an election going on April 4th. And that's the biggest thing is to say, yeah, we have an election going on April 4th. We've got a lot of things on that ballot you need to pay attention to, like the library referendum, the sales tax going on for, you know, the water thing is all on that ballot. And we really need you out there to vote.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let me jump right in there because that that's on our list to talk about those issues that are on the ballot besides your trustee election, and that is the let's start with the library referendum. I'm sure you saw the presentation that talks about the scope of what they are looking for, and I want to get your take on that item on our ballot.
Basically, if you haven't stopped by the library, they have a beautiful board up on telling them what we're trying to do, what they're trying to do in the library. They have lots of questions that you can answer. They're walking around now putting flyers on doors to let people know
They did ring my doorbell.
Right, flyers
Saturday,
on doors to let them know what infrastructure, needs to be fixed in the library. Basically, the library, I believe, is 50-some years old in that area, and it's starting to fall apart from the inside out. It's not a goal to make an elaborate library like Plum, Irvin Lombard's trying to do. I think they're trying to do all kinds of instruction.
And they just
Helen
passed
Plum,
a big referendum.
They
recently.
just passed a big referendum themselves for the Helen Plum Library. Ours is different. Ours is trying to fix the infrastructure of that library itself. I mean, there's a lot of things internally that are old and are starting to fall apart. Just like our pools are starting to fall apart after years of stuff. And that board has worked very hard to tone down everything to almost the penny of what they need to get it up and running good. Plus the fact a library went from being books to a lot of things. The library's not only books, it's, they've got internet going on there, they've got meetings going on, they've got a lot of other activities that some people don't realize. They've got movie nights on movie afternoons, matinee movies going on there on Sunday afternoons for, people of Villa Park to come on that can't get to a theater or something, So there's a lot of other activities going on in the library than just
Checking out books, yeah.
Than checking out books. And I think it's important that the people of Villa Park realize that even though they don't think about it, our library is an important part of this village. It's a place for the students to go after school in a safe environment to study and get materials that they need. There's also a lot of infrastructure where they're doing research papers. Yeah, everything's on the internet. I mean, you can Google almost everything. But a lot of stuff that they don't realize, you can't Google. You actually need a physical book. So there's a lot of research in the library that you can't get on the internet, that you need a personal person to get to. And if our library's not there for it as a reference to do it, or it's not functioning up to standards, we're losing an important part of this village. We seriously are.
Yeah. Okay. The other one was the sales tax increase from 7.5% to 8% on general merchandise for the village, and that funding was intended to be for sewer and other plumbing issues in the village. Separation of sewer and water.
Separation of sewer water and what
storms.
was going on.
Yeah.
Right. It's an important issue. As everybody knows, everybody needs money. You know, especially in Illinois, where we're not getting all the funds from this, you know, this Springfield. We need funding to do those jobs to get it done. And yes, I realize it's asking for some more money out of our pockets, being citizens of Villa Park. But you have to think: is it important to have this done now, or to wait until later and they have to rip up your new road again to do it? So you know, you have to make a judgment on your own. How important is having it to be done right? To have the sewers put in and the separation system, especially for those people that have flooding going on.
Yeah.
It's a really important issue to have those structures done. And you know, as an incoming trustee, I realize that you know, I would look for alternative ways to do that. But right now, we've got this on the ballot. You're going to have to decide for yourself how important is those fewer extra pennies, or you know, amount that's going to do to get that sewers in the structure for your roads. And yes, it's also a way that other people can pay for it. So this
You're
fund
talking about
isn't
the out-of-town visitors.
out-of-town visitors or other people coming into our visit, you know, our town. It's a way that they can help us, you know, to get the money that funds we need right now to do our sewers and our infrastructure.
Right.
Until we can find better ways to get more funds. I'm sure there's other ones, and I'm sure the board's working on that.
Right.
And as a trustee, you know, I'm going to bear forward to keep, you know, them on the ball to do that.
Okay. Let me ask you about, as you pointed out earlier, you often have the opportunity to come to the village board meetings and be behind the podium and talk about issues that, or ask questions that you want to have answered on behalf of yourself and the public. How do you get involved in the board meetings? What do you do? Do you read the agendas? Do you come to coffees with the trustees? How do you get involved as a citizen with what the board activities are today before becoming a trustee?
Basically, if you've got an issue as a citizen, coffees with the board is a good place to come to let the board know that there's an issue, or you got a ticket that you don't think is appropriate, or there's something going on in your building, or you know, on your street that they need to know about. Because a lot of times at the board meeting, you have to wait until the end of the board meeting to talk to it, and it sometimes gets really late at night before you get a chance as, you know, a citizen to get a chance to talk to the board. So the coffee with the board is a good place to bring those issues up, because it opens up a time for a one-on-one contact with the board directly to let them know there's an issue. And a lot of times that board member, and hopefully me as a board member soon, will be able to take your issues at coffee with the board and then look into it directly on a one-to-one basis, where you don't do that at the board meetings. As a citizen of Villa Park, as a resident, they do put it on the website, so you can check out what the board agenda is beforehand.
And then they also put the package out there, right?
Right. They now put the village package out there so that you can look in behind it. Because the details on it. Because a lot of times what they put out for an agenda is very brief and doesn't really explain anything. And when I first started coming to the meetings, I didn't know they had the village packet. So I'd show up and there was a lot of information not there that the board members knew, but we didn't know as residents.
Yeah.
So I'd ask questions and didn't know that information was there. Now I can look at the village packet, which has a little more detail on it. Not everything that the board has, because of course there's information that the village board packets they get extend are a little more detailed than what we get on the website. But it gives us some more insight of what they're doing. It also tells us what the numbers are of where they're using the funds for, so that you can kind of look it up. My only gripe is that they need to put it out before Friday, or
give you more
sometimes
time?
Saturday morning to give me more time.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I don't have enough time to research what they're doing or what's happening on that agenda in a timely fashion, because it doesn't come out soon enough to do that.
Yeah.
If you don't have the time now, how are you going to do it when you get the job?
Because when you have the village packets, you can pick them up as a whole unit.
Yeah.
So they come out, as I said, they come out to read through it. I read through it, but I'd like to have it come sooner in the week so I have more time to research what it is. Because as a village board or trustee, you know what's coming up on that board meeting. You know 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time that it's going to happen on this meeting. Where as a citizen, you don't know that.
Yeah,
you don't know what's going to be on the agenda.
There is official notification for the agenda, the finalized agenda, that will be posted, and that is only 48 hours before the meeting.
Right.
If it comes within 48 hours, then you can't have the meeting. So they bring it right up to 48 hours and they post it. They could do it earlier, but they don't. That's the structure that they.
Well, I
live under
understand.
right now.
That's the only thing. I wish it was more than 48 hours ahead of time. But as a member of the board, they have the executive session, so they have an insight on what's rolling in the village ahead of time, so they know what's going to be on the agenda, and they have insight on more of the paperwork that's going on. Where us as residents, all we get is the 48 hours ahead of time that, yes, this is going to be on the board for that night.
Good. Sid.
Well, no, I was just thinking now, I'm thinking back in the 80s and early 90s that we would get the packet on Friday night.
Yeah.
It would be available. And that was so that not only the 48-hour thing would be there, but that anything of the last-minute stuff that came up, so that we would be as up-to-date as possible. And as far as knowing what's in advance, well, yes, I suppose by just being exposed to all of this, and that you would know a little bit more. But I would remind you that when you get more than 2 people together, you can't talk village business because it's a meeting.
Oh, I understand that, but you've got the information coming into it. Plus, I mean, on the village website has gotten a lot better, so you can check out all the other agendas that are going on, all the committees that are going on in the village, like the planning commission village, like, this commission. I can check out what's going to be on the cable going on, which is great. That's one thing I'm really happy that Keener did. He updated our website, so it's a little more easy to go through and find all that information, where before it was a little harder to find it.
Or it wasn't there.
Or it wasn't there at all.
Right.
So we have progress through that it's now a whole lot better. Than you can get all that information, what's going on everywhere. The meetings for the road commission, the planning commissions, what's going on, the economic development meeting. So you can't get insight on that before the meetings for the village. If there's an issue you can check on all their agendas and their minutes of their meeting too, and on the website.
Yeah. Let me add a program note for our audience there, and that is what Cheryl's talking about is the agenda and the package of information that's the background for all the agenda items does come out on our website, and the agenda is posted physically in the village hall. But also the village manager, Richard Keener, who you just mentioned, does a segment where he sits down and reads through the agenda, stops on each item, and explains in his mind what that item means, whether it's input from the departments that are associated with that agenda item, or just background on other activity that's taken place on that subject. But that is also 48 hours or a little bit more than the meeting starts. But it's a good thing to look at if you're interested in certain topics. And we broadcast that at 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. every day. The one that is going to be the next board meeting will be on our network. So that's another choice. But you're right, it's 48 hours before it. So as a citizen, you've got that much time. But as a trustee, because you know of planning to get to that point where it's on the agenda, you'll have that heads up, right? Is
Right.
that what you
You'll have a better heads up of it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I want to ask you, of the board that exists now for the last 4 years, 8 years, what do you think are the good accomplishments that they have done that help the village of Villa Park? The highlights.
Well, the highlights is we're getting our roads done finally in
Okay.
in a timely fashion. Hopefully they'll continue to do that. I mean, we've got a schedule set up for when these roads are supposed to be done, and they seem to be following that and working very well with that.
Right.
I like the fact that we've got North Town Plaza that went from a swap place.
Swaporama, yeah.
Swaporama. I mean, it used to be a mall, and then it went to the Swaporama, and now it looks like we're starting to get businesses back in there as, you know, a shopping center, again, atmosphere to draw people back to our visit.
Yeah, it's great.
Village back that way. I like the fact that, you know, they're trying to revitalize Villa Avenue. That's something that's ongoing right now. That's a nice thing to know, that they're trying to do that. Obviously, they're keeping a handle on what's going on in Roosevelt Road. They're also keeping a handle on what businesses want to come in and to the town, and they're keeping track of that. As a
Those are all great
standard,
things, yeah.
they're all great things that they're moving forward on. I mean, you know, they're trying to keep a handle on the budget and try not to spend too much money. That, you know, that's always a difficult thing as trustees, that, you know, a money issue that always comes up.
Right, right. Okay. All right. The other why don't you grab a drink there?
Yeah, I
So
need
I'll
some
keep you off
water.
camera so you can
Thank
get a drink. One of the things that I want to ask you now is, what have they missed? You know, you're sitting in the audience and you say, well, they're not doing this. They haven't addressed this. Are there any issues like that? There may be none, but are there any issues like that that you think have been missed and avoided, or just set aside and put on the back burner that shouldn't have been?
Our pools is a big issue that
Okay.
was put on the back burners. Right now, hopefully they're going to address that issue. I mean, that's another part as a trustee, if I'm on, that we need, you know, we need better recreation area. We have very few open space here, so we need to vitalize the open space we have and better use of that space.
What would you recommend?
There's a lot of revitalizing that we could use of the space that's sitting there, and layouts that I think we could better use. You know, I don't know the exact details of it, but I know that we are kind of confined of what we space have, because we don't have a whole lot of space here anymore in Villa Park. It's
Well,
been
one of the things that came up recently.
redeveloped, and you know, we're talking about heading to try to get a recreational center here, and a location, a general location for recreation, basketball courts, because we don't have any basketball courts. We have to use the school systems for basketball tournaments and soccer fields, and I mean, we have two parks that do. High Ridge has a ball field, and so does Twin Lakes.
Right.
They both have fields for the kids to play ball on and soccer. But other than that, they're using a lot of the school district's fields to do things, and we need to work together with all the enemies in this, the school districts, the park district, the village board, to try to get it to work together for the people of this town, to give areas for them to go to.
Let me help you. You used the word enemies and you meant entities.
Entities.
Okay.
Entities.
don't-
I couldn't
I don't
get it
want
out.
that out.
Entities, yes, not enemies. Entities.
Okay, good. Yeah, and we've talked a little bit about the fact that some of the school districts have large tracts of property that's unused. We're talking about reusing certain areas, not only what the village already owns, but for example, you look at Willowbrook High School, and everything on the north end of High Ridge is like a track and field space. You know, where it goes from High Ridge along Ardmore Avenue, all of that going back to Willowbrook Park is Willowbrook High School property, but
It's not
grass.
being used, right?
It's grass, you know, and the different things. And what you're talking about also in terms of the possible site we talked about, that being Lions Park, having a combined facility there potentially someday in the future. Yes.
No, I just wanted to add a little history on that.
Here we go.
Jackson, Jackson Junior High, where they were able to purchase twice the amount of land that they needed to put the junior high on, and at about a minimal, absolute minimal price that the vacant property had. And the people on the school board at that time, at least one guy was a dentist in town, said, we hope that the village will eventually take this property and make it a park. And there were soccer fields there. And while it's still owned by, District 45 and maintained by that, it's still a recreational area that could be, like you say, developed. Now, Rotary Park has got ball fields. And
right. One ball field.
One ball field, and of course now we may not have any ball fields at Lions Field fairly soon with the new master plan now. But
yeah, well, that's one thing I wanted to get into because of your relationship with the Park District Board Commission. They just approved a big plan, right?
Master plan.
Master plan. Tell
Yes,
us what's
we put
in
a
it.
master
What's all
plan
that
in
about?
there. Basically, we asked the people of the village because it's been more than 10 years, I think, or longer, that they didn't have a master plan.
Mm-hmm.
So we went through the process of having open meetings for the people of the village to come in, set up a master plan. We've got a big book that there's a copy, I think, down here at Village Hall of the book, and it's also online that they can look at, of each park and recreation facility in this area, on what it looks like, what the goal is. Mm-hmm. Our biggest thing is that we got back from our surveys and stuff is that people want a recreational center in this town. They want the pools, of course, to be redeveloped or fixed or brought up to standards, which they're not right now because they're both older pools. They're basically interested in fitness. So they want more fitness going on in the village.
Workout center.
Workout center,
Yeah.
Areas to do that. But we're taking it park by park. A lot of the stuff we're doing is revitalizing park by park. We've now got a garden plot going on at, I believe it's Wilson Park. We've got,
Westmore
areas,
Park.
Westmore Park,
Right.
yeah, at Westmore Park. We've got the garden thing going on there at Westmore Park now.
Which is a community garden space.
Which is a community garden.
Right, excellent.
We're working with the Villa Park Garden Club to revitalize that. They're helping us. They're doing talks about it.
Great.
They said they'd help people do that if they need to. I believe there's a flyer out right now on that, on putting in if you want a garden plot.
Getting space, yeah.
Getting space.
Right.
We're doing that right now. There are lots, as you brought up, Sid, there are parks. There are ball fields throughout the village, one here, one there, that we could probably use for other things, but they're not being used or vitalized the way they should be. I mean, we've got North Park that we'd like to revitalize too. They've got a playground way at the other, far end, way far end of the park, and we'd like to move that playground closer to the building itself to use, so that everything's confined in one place. We've got the fishing derby that goes on North Park.
Right.
We'd like to, revitalize it and maybe make a walking path around that park.
I was really disappointed because of the weather. The ice fishing event was
Oh, yeah, it
canceled.
had to be canceled.
I was so looking forward to that at Terrace Park, but go ahead.
But yeah, unfortunately the weather, and so did the ice rinks.
Yeah, yeah.
The
that's
ice
now
rinks have
almost evaporated. Right.
evaporated because of the hot weather. So those
Yeah.
people that like the cold weather and the ice things, we're sorry.
Got a short season.
That
for
we
sure.
got a very short season on that. But those people that like the warm weather, I'm sure they're very happy that they're getting a chance to get out and walk and use the facility, especially the Prairie Path, which we have the sections, and as you brought up, the Western Trail
Right.
is getting used a whole lot
Big time.
big time in this village.
Yeah.
And we have, Cortese Park that sort of joins both of them together,
It
that
does.
you can go from the Prairie Path, stop at Cortese Park if you need to and rest, and keep going to the Great Western. So we have areas to join together. We have, as you have brought up, it has been brought up to the board about trying to get a bike path or biking in the town to make it a whole lot easier to go from the north part of town to the south
Right.
part. Because we got good trails on those two paths going from east to west,
Right.
but we need something north to south.
My wife, when I keep walking, because I walk constantly on those paths, my wife said, well, don't you have something exactly that could go north and south? And kind of with the Salt Creek Trail, but that's just through Rotary Park, and then it goes into Elmhurst and beyond. There's nothing towards the center of town. There's only on the east end that gets people from North Avenue to Roosevelt Road, right? That's what you're referring
Right.
to. Yeah, yeah.
Well, there's also a problem with that Sauk Trail thing. You go through Rotary Park
Yeah.
on that path, but you end up on Villa.
Yes.
So you have to cross the
Yes.
track on Villa Avenue, or you have to cross the tracks on Ardmore. And it's not kind of certain times of the day.
It's not
very
safe.
safe
No,
to
no.
cross on those areas.
No.
And so, it's been a discussion to figure out a way that we could put something in the center of the town, or a better way to cross over those things, cross over the tracks, so that we can join, North Avenue to Roosevelt. So the whole town is feasible for people that walk. I mean, even walkers have problems to walk, or bikers to go from the north end of our town to the south end of our town.
Yeah. Well, you bring up a great point, because there's some activity to have a bike plan here in Villa Park, and Ardmore Avenue should be looked at a lot, because that goes right through the center of town and gives us an opportunity. We have to look at the ways that it's done when you have traffic on the highway or on the road and bikes at the same time, but there's a way to do that. Cheryl, I got to tell you, we have gone an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes by quick, and it's been great to sit here and talk to you. Now I'm going to give you a chance to look into, let's see, that camera,
Okay.
and talk to our audience and tell them what we're up against with the ballot, and what you want to tell them about voting for you this April.
Basically, you'll see me on the ballot as Cheryl Orla Tucker, because Orla was my maiden name. I'm hoping that you will vote for me. We're up against a lot of different issues in the village, and by all means, we need the whole village support to make these go through. Through this talk, as he mentioned, for an hour, I have brought up a couple of things that are important to this village. The road is being fixed, the infrastructure of the sewers, and our piping being done, a recreational center, our pools being, not closed on important times, that they're working up to standards. As a trustee, I'm hoping to get on the board to be your voice and get issues done that are very important to you in this village, because I think in the past you've stated a lot of things as people of the village, and the board hasn't listened to you. Me included, I feel the same way. Sometimes we say things and it goes over their heads. So as a trustee, if you vote for me on the board, I will listen to what you have to say, and I will, if it's in my power, I will get it up to the board and mention to all the other trustees that we can, work on that issue that is your problems. As I said, I was born and raised here in Villa Park, so I know how thriving this town was previously. I'm really happy that it's starting to thrive again, because it really did get in disrepair in years past. And I'm glad that we're now striving to get it back to the standards that we had before. As being a trustee, I'm hoping to work with District 45 and Willowbrook, and as being on a member of the commission on the Parks and Rec, that we can get all 4 entities, the village, the recreation facilities, the school districts, all on the same page. We've got 48 that some people forget about, that's part of us too. They're very important too. They're part of Villa Park, even though sometimes we forget that they're part of an entity. And we need to all work together. And I'd like you to come to my thing on March 10th. Please come join me at Salt Creek. It's a beautiful clubhouse, and I would like you, if you haven't seen it, at least come out and check out the clubhouse at Salt Creek Golf Course. That's basically it. I'm hoping that you'll vote for me.
Tell the people the times that this event is at.
My event is from 6 to 9 on March 10th. It's a Friday night. Come meet me. I want to meet all of you. I love to meet the people of Villa Park because needless to say, there's a lot of us here, and I'd like the opportunity to meet each of you in a time that I can actually talk to you. Besides knocking on your door, the brief time, I would like you to come out and take part of this, and so I can meet you personally and talk one-on-one. And if you have a question, it's a perfect opportunity for me to answer it for you one-on-one rather than a group setting.
Excellent. Cheryl, it's been great having you here. I can't tell you how much we appreciate you stopping by. It gives our audience an opportunity to know more about you, even though we see you frequently. That's good. But this gives a chance for all of our audience to see every candidate that's on the ballot and talk about the issues that are being addressed there, and Cheryl's done that with us today. So we've been talking with Cheryl Tucker, who is a candidate on the April ballot for village trustee. And we hope you enjoyed the discussion we had with Cheryl, and we will see you next time. Thank you.